Love is in the air and the season of Valentine is upon us. Our etiquette expert, Christy Spencer, is back to make sure we're minding our manners out there in La La Land. Christy, welcome back. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, we love having you on. So I'm going to dive in because I want to find out, for those in dating world, Valentine's Day is a big weekend, right? What are some things we need to keep in mind when planning a Valentine's date?
So I think you want to think about what the other person likes, but you also want to do something that you're going to enjoy too, because you want to be present. So take into account what they might like, and then I think go for an activity instead of, it's so hard to eat in front of people to begin with. So let's not do that on a first date. So you can do something much cheaper and not as time consuming. And so, you know, going out for ice cream or getting a coffee, going for a walk if it's nice outside. So I think, like, steering clear of dinner on a first date is a good idea.
I think that that is such wise, sage advice, really, because when you think about a date, I think dinner just pops to mind, right? That's what we're going to do to really put our stamp on the fact that we're going on a date. But it's a lot more accessible, maybe, if you can focus on something else together.
And that gives you something to talk about, too. That'll spur your conversation rather than staring across the table at somebody not knowing what to say.
And maybe it gives you something to refer back to and call back to the next time you have a date. Remember when we went and did this together and all that? So that's good, but talking about those conversations, are there any topics maybe that are off limits on a first date? What do we want to avoid?
I think you want to avoid health problems, difficult relationships, along with the money, politics, and religion. There's plenty of time. We do want to get to know people more than on a surface level, but that first date is really all about good impressions. Yeah,
that's a great tip right there, too. Okay, so let's say that we do go out, we're having ice cream, or maybe we paid going bowling or some activity or whatever. Who should pay on this first date? And I know there's different schools of thought out there. What do you think, Christy?
I go to the traditional whoever invited the other person pays for the date. And that doesn't mean that, you know, the man or one person should always be inviting the other. It needs to be 50-50, but I think that it's nice to treat somebody else.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, too. What's maybe the biggest mistake? We're getting into it now. What's the biggest mistake you can make out there on a date?
It's thinking that your cell phone is on the date instead of you.
Yes.
So, you know, that technology can really be a barrier. And so we don't want to use it like that. We want to put it in our pocket, put it in our purse, keep it off the table.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you're present.
Yeah. With the advent of online dating and everyone has apps and things, you swipe left, you swipe right, all of that stuff, there's something about the personal connection too. So once you get past all of that, having a physical person in front of you, what are some things we need to keep in mind when we're out there on the dating scene?
You know, I think you want to mind how you're presenting yourself. So, and you want to know where you're going as well. And you want to dress appropriately.
Yeah,
so
that's
if you
good
don't
tip,
dress appropriately or you don't take a little bit of time into your appearance, that says a lot about you to the person that you're going to be dating. So I think, you know, trying to dress the part, trying to look your best, neat, clean, appropriate, those kinds of things. So first impressions are unavoidable. And so we want to make some good ones.
Okay, so there's two kind of buckets or categories you can put people in when you go on a date. Keepers, and I'm going to throw this fish back out into the sea, right? How do we make sure that we don't get too attached, but we keep a level of attachment to those that we like? How do we differentiate that, Christy?
I think when you don't have interest in somebody, you know, a polite but direct conversation sounds so awkward and it's so difficult, but it's the best way to go.
Right.
And so, you know, ghosting is just unacceptable. And, you know, too many hurt feelings happen over that.
Sure.
So, you know, have a polite and direct conversation with somebody and say, you know, it was wonderful meeting you and I've enjoyed getting to know you, but I just don't feel a connection. And I think as long as you do that with care, then you're going to feel better about doing it, and you're going to be able to do it more easily.
Yes. Where were you when I was dating? I feel like I would have saved myself
I was probably married.
I would have saved myself so much time. So I hope our viewing audience is as well. Christy, as always, thank you for joining us. And yeah, happy Valentine's season, everyone. Love is in the air, so we've needed those tips. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Absolutely.